So,
So we get started?
yeah,
Okay.
that are here, it looks like all of you have your mics muted, but if you don't, please mute your mic. But it looks like you guys are all doing a pretty good job of that. And we're going to actually start things off with Dr. Robinson doing an introduction to you.
Well, great. Good morning, everyone. So this is your advising session, but before I turn you over to that, I want to just take this opportunity to welcome you to the Mechanical Engineering program. I am Dr. Robinson. I'm a professor and department head of Mechanical Engineering, and I am so happy to be greeting you all today. You guys are coming from many different places, and at the moment, you're at many different places. Some of you are on campus at RIT, some of you are in quarantine, so you'll be joining us in another couple of weeks. Some of you are remote starting from outside the United States, and some of you are remote starting from inside the United States, and still some of you are living at home and commuting back and forth to campus. But no matter where you're starting from, no matter where you are right now, I just want you all to know that you are part of a very elite group of students. There were over 2,000 applications for 220 slots. So I know you guys have worked hard to be here. You've earned your spot. I'm confident that you're going to be successful in our program. We have a large team of faculty and staff to help you be successful. Your first year here, you're going to meet 8 faculty in your courses. You're going to be taking mechanics lab, design tools, programming, and statics, and those classes are all team taught, so you're going to be meeting up to 8 faculty there. You'll each be assigned a faculty advisor. We also have the best office staff on campus by far. If they're here, I'd like to give them an opportunity just to say hi. So we have Christy Leone.
Hi, everyone. My name's Christy. I'm actually in the office right now. So hello. I'm very much looking forward to meeting all of you. It's nice to see all of your faces here.
And let's see, Jill is another office staff, but she's on graduate open house right now. So you'll meet her another time, but we also have Brittany.
Hello guys, welcome to Mechanical Engineering. I am actually home today, but I will be in the office tomorrow and the first day of class. So hopefully I'll get to meet some of you then. And welcome.
And we also have a Dr. Alan Nye on, and you've probably met him through open house, but I'll just give him a minute to say hi so you can.
Hello everyone. I'm the associate department head, and I am the advisor of any transfer students that may be online at the moment. And, and as you may be able to tell from my background, I'm also the faculty advisor of the Formula SAE team. So if anybody's interested in participating in that, let me know. Yeah, Jared, good job.
Okay, so with that, I'm going to turn you over to the advisors. They have been working very hard to set your schedule up, and they've put a great presentation together for you to get started. Again, I'm Dr. Robinson. Please feel free to stop in and talk to me anytime. My door is always open. Anytime over the next 5 years you want to chat about anything, please feel free to contact me. So with that, I'll turn you over to the advisors, and I know you'll be in good hands with them.
Thank you, Dr. Robinson. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through, and we have a presentation for you. We also have some wonderful OLs here who are also part of our department. At the end, we're going to let them kind of take the reins and introduce themselves and tell you about the program. I'm really excited about that. I will give you guys, just tell you, we are loving the chat right now. You guys are super into Monty Python, and this is fantastic. I'm glad to see you bonding, even if it's virtually. Would you mind sharing the presentation? And then I guess we can also do introductions. So my name is Andrea Tull. I am one of the 3 academic advisors in the mechanical engineering department, and I am happy to help you with whatever you might need. Hillary, do you want to introduce yourself next?
Hi guys, I am Hillary. I am advising the letters H through P this year. So I have met some of you via email already. I've been at RIT for 8 years now, so I've been around for a bit. And then a little bit about me. I graduated from Mercyhurst College, undergrad and grad. Organizational leadership was my master's. I have 1 kid and 3 cats, Todd, Teeny, and Kitty Wampus. So.
Yeah, and so my name is Jen Kamish. I've been at RIT for 6 years now. I gone to a bunch of colleges, but basically finished my doctorate last year at the University of Rochester in higher education administration. So definitely a school person. And I have a wife and 4 cats, Jack, Houdini, Luna, Cupcake, poor Cupcake. Let's forget about her. And yeah, I'm advising letters Q through Z of the alphabet.
So I guess I should let you know, I'm advising A through G. My bachelor's degree is from University at Buffalo, and my master's degree is from Binghamton in Student Affairs Administration. No cats in this house, you guys, so I am sort of the lone wolf in the mechanical engineering department, but I do have a dog who does make a lot of surprise visits in my Zoom advising meetings. So when you're meeting with me, if you're feeling homesick, you want to see an adorable little like 15-pound dog, you can meet Midas. He is sort of a monster, but he's my heart. So I am happy to bring him to any of our meetings as well. So because there are a lot of cats in this department, we're also going to encourage you to count the cats during this advising presentation. We have no prizes, but it's fun. So the first picture I guess I want to tell you guys about is, so we get really into Halloween in our department. We're very committed to it. So a few years ago, we were able to go to Shark Week. And Dr. Nye is very tolerant and accepting of us and agreed to go as Nemo. So he was sort of the, prey through that. But it was really fun. So we're a fun department. Make sure to come say hi to us at some point when we're all back in the office, and we can be. Do you want to go to the next slide?
Yes, sorry.
Perfect. So we've introduced ourselves. Hillary and I are both located when we are on campus in the mechanical engineering office. I will be remote advising throughout the whole fall. I will be back in the spring. You'll get a little bit more information on that from me later today, though. But I can be reached via email. All of us can be reached via email, or we'll talk about Starfish a little bit later, but you will have opportunities to schedule meetings with us. Like I said, Hillary is located in the mechanical engineering office when she is on campus, and Jen is actually located in engineering student services when she is on campus. Right down the hall from the mechanical engineering office. So our wonderful office team, the mechanical engineering team, is a really great, really dynamic group of people that we are lucky to be able to rely on. Jillian couldn't be here. She's working with the graduate students right now. Christy is here, as is Brittany. And then Lindsay McLoone, you guys will start seeing emails from her every so often, especially if some of you are already second year by credits. You'll see emails from her that you can go ahead and ignore at this point in your career. But Lindsay is our career services coordinator. So if you have co-op related questions, concerns, especially when you're in your search, she's a phenomenal resource for you. And she does appointments. She will do resume reviews for you and just general kind of professional upkeep. We're very lucky at RIT that we have one of the best career services office there is. So you each will also have a faculty advisor as well. So the faculty advisors are in front of you. They consist of Mario Gomes, Robert Carter, William Humphrey, Stephen Bodo, Sarah Lynn Ivansy, and Bernard Fisher. Your faculty advisor is there to help guide you throughout your career. As you get into your upper level of mechanical engineering curriculum, you might get in some situations where you're wondering which course would be the most appropriate for you to take for the career outcome you want to achieve. One thing you'll notice when we were talking about our educational backgrounds is none of us are engineers in your academic advising team. So your faculty advisors are a phenomenal resource there for that, and they're going to help you map everything out with, you know, picking those courses as well. You'll also do your co-op reviews with them as well. And then if you just have general questions, get to know them. They're really fun. They're great people. So student information system. Some of you have reached out to us already asking about courses, making changes. So I know you guys have been playing around in there a little bit, so it shouldn't be totally unfamiliar. But the student information system is what houses, you know, where you'll make your academic changes, whether you add a course, you drop a course. It's where you'll be able to see your grades at the end of a semester. It's really our central kind of unit that we'll use as far as software goes. So it's a good time to really familiarize yourself with that. If you just Google RIT SIS or RIT Student Information System, you can find yourself to this page, and then you're going to click on Student Info System. Okay, so if you want to schedule an appointment with us, over the next couple of days, I think most of us are doing walk-in advising during the times we've sent out today and tomorrow, but following that, we will have appointments available via Starfish. So when you log into SIS, you'll click on Starfish and you'll be able to book an appointment with your advisor. Right now, not all of ours are posted, so you'll notice that as we come along. You'll also, when you're on this main icon page, actually, we can show you through here. There's a couple of things we want to point out. So when you go, changing my view here a little bit, under your academic records page on SIS, you can see things like your course history and your transfer credit report. So a lot of you brought in, I should say, AP and transfer credits to RIT. And you might not be sure of exactly what they count as and where they're getting allocated. Make sure you check your course history or your transfer credit report, or both, depending on, you know, which you'd rather view, to see what's been brought into RIT. If you think we're missing something, please let us know right away so we can help you with that. We really want to get out ahead of that and make sure that we have you in the correct courses. So this is the best way to see what you brought in, what it counts as, is your transfer credit report under academic records. That's also where, you know, when you come to doing an immersion later on, you'll declare it through there. On the left, you'll see the enroll and search icon. So enroll and search is where you'll do your course searches. We'll walk you through all that. It's where you drop a class. It's where you do your swaps. Personal information, make sure your personal information, your contact information is up to date. If we need to reach you, email is the preferred mode of communication at RIT, but we will call the phone number listed, even if it's your legal guardians, whoever's it is, whatever's listed as the preferred phone number. So make sure you're going under personal information and making sure your contact information is what you want us reaching out to. Okay, so RT. So this is, again, on the AP and transfer credit like we talked about previously. This is where you can kind of see what came in as what. So for the top part, we'll show you the top part is transfer credits. So you can see that this student took Eco 100 at Finger Lakes Community College, and it came in as PERS 100, which would be a social perspective. They also brought in a biology course and a physics course. So you can see kind of what comes in as what. You can see what APs come in as what. So the columns on the left are the AP exam you took. So this student took AP, you know, it looks like a US history, and it's coming in as History 102. So you can go in and see where things have been allocated. So this is a great place to get kind of worked through and familiar with. So the next resource we'll talk to you about, and this is one you'll see pop up a lot throughout your time at RIT, we're always going to tell you to check your academic advising report or your AAR. When you log into SIS, under that academic records icon, on the left, you'll see My Academic Requirement. What this is basically a degree audit of your entire time at RIT. So it'll have everything you need to take in order to graduate. When a field is collapsed, it means you've completed it. It'll also populate with, for like this student, you can see that they've already completed mechanics lab, statics, and design tools. It will also sometimes show you, so say you need a science elective, it'll sometimes show you what your options are for that in order for it to count towards our accreditation. So it's a really great resource. You want to be looking at this, in my eyes, at least once a semester and familiarizing yourself, because at the end of the day, your graduation requirements are yours to make sure you're meeting. All right, math placement. So we've gotten a lot of questions about math, so we'll talk through this a little bit. When you are looking at your math placement, some of you are starting in Math 111, so that's where we'll start, just for conversation's sake. If you're starting in Math 111, these are really important to remember the grades in order to move on. So we're looking for you to get a B- or above so you can move on to one of the Calculus 1 sequences. If you get a C- to a C+, you would start in Math 171 next. If you get below a C-, you would need to retake Math 111. The next step to look at is if you were starting in Math 181, you would move on to Math 182. So Math 181 is project-based calc. You would move on to project-based calc 2. If you're starting Math 181A, that's Calculus 1. Jen, can you go back?
Oh, shoot, sorry.
If you're starting in Math 181A, you'll move on to Math 182A. Those are Calculus 1 and Calculus 2. And then if you start in Math 171, you're going to move on to Math 172, or ideally, you should all be in a sort of a sister course, a critical skills course with your Math 171, where you can take the bridge exam at the end of it to place into Math 182. So that would be sort of the steps that you would take. I should also let you guys all know, you all have access to a My Courses shell that has a lot of helpful handouts and information. We're going to post this PowerPoint to My Courses later today. So you'll all have access to that as well. So let's go to the next slide, which I believe is, all right, I think this is my last slide.
Yes.
So liberal arts requirements. We've also gotten a lot of questions about the general education courses you're in. You can see on your AAR what courses you're taking and what they count as. That's the other fun thing about that you should remember. But every student needs everything that's listed here. So you all need a first year writing. You'll take, if you're not taking it this semester and you didn't bring credit, you'll take it next semester. So don't worry if you're not in it this semester and you don't have credits for it, don't stress, you can do it next semester. Everyone needs an artistic perspective, an ethical perspective, a global perspective, and a social perspective before they graduate, as well as just a general education elective. Everyone will take an immersion before they graduate. An immersion is 3 courses in one like area. So it'll be something like, say, communications, environmental studies, there's a journalism immersion. There's one in basically every language you can imagine. And you can Google RIT immersions to do some more research in this area. And then you're all actually going to take 3 free electives while you're at RIT. A couple things to note on the general education. You do need 3 writing intensive courses before you graduate. So the first is first year writing. So again, like I said, you either brought it in, or you're in it this semester, or you'll take it next semester. The next is a program writing intensive course. You actually will take that in your 4th year. It's called Contemporary Issues, and you don't even need to think about that or stress about that. You have to take it. It'll be built into a plan. We'll show you. And the third course is one you have to plan in. So an attribute of one of the courses you take before you graduate, outside of those other 2 that I mentioned, is needs to be writing intensive. It's easiest to get this out of the way with either your artistic perspective or your gen ed elective. And you can click into the courses in SIS and see if they're writing intensive. You can even search in SIS based on writing intensive as well. Hillary, Jen, am I missing anything on this front?
No.
No, you covered it pretty well, but there are a lot of questions about the perspectives. And
Sure.
how do you see what a perspective is when you're
Sure.
searching? And
Sure. So
We'll get to that.
when you do a course search, and we're going to show you how to do this, and we've got some handouts actually, I believe, in the My Courses shell for that as well. When you go onto SIS, I'm actually going to do it as we're talking, so I can walk you through the process. Let me log in. I'm going to go into the student view so I can make sure I'm giving you guys the right instructions.
Do you want to share instead?
Sure, I can do that. You don't need to do anything, Jen. I can do that.
Okay, so I'll stop.
So when you guys are in SIS, you should all, Jen, Hillary, can you see my student home in front of me?
yeah,
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So when you log into SIS, this is what it should look like for you. So what you're gonna do, say you know you need a social perspective because you've looked at your AAR and you can tell that that still needs completed, right? You're gonna go to the enroll and search functionality on here, and you're gonna go to class search and enroll. You're gonna select fall. And then what you're gonna do is select additional ways to search. So I always want to encourage you to really use your filters in SIS so you're narrowing out the information that you just don't need to be reading. You can go to class attributes, and then you're going to select, let's look, GE social perspective. And then for campus, I always say just immediately select RIT main. So this is going to sound sort of silly, but we offer almost all the same mechanical engineering courses on the Dubai campus as we do on the main campus. So you don't want to make your perfect schedule based on a course that's offered in Dubai. So to eliminate that heartbreak, always select RIT main for your campus and then hit search. So it might take a second, let's see, for it to load.
deep in thought.
It is, and my internet has been a little bit wonky today, you guys, so I might not be able to take you all the way through it, but what will happen when you do what I'm showing you basically is it's going to bring up a list of all of the social perspectives at RIT. The next step would be to, on the left, you'll get an option of filters, and I would click open classes only, so you can only look at the open classes. Don't bother looking at waitlisted classes. At this point, it's not worth waiting for them. I think while I've got Zoom up, it's not going to let me complete the search for you guys. So I'm going to stop the share, but that is how you'll do the social perspective search. So you'll want to use your attributes and you can see that. So same thing for artistic, ethical, global. If you needed a writing intensive course, you could do the same thing where you can do writing intensive gen ed. So that's helpful if you know you just need a gen ed elective. If you want to see if you can get into first year writing this semester, you can select writing intensive first year. So you have a lot of options there. Let's see if maybe this will give me better results. Looks like no, for right now. So what you'd want to do is kind of look through there. Now, like we said earlier, to see what courses are counting as what, you can use your AAR. When you run that, it'll show you what course you're taking is counting as what perspective. All right, Jen, do you want to bring up the PowerPoint again?
Yes. One sec. Okay. I apologize if you can hear.
Perfect.
Okay. So all set for that? All right.
Yep.
So I will jump in here, and also in SIS, when you go to class search and enroll, there's a link where you can click view my classes. And so when you view your classes, this is sort of the default format that the classes will appear in, and you can see when they are. If you're anything like me, this is a little bit of a tricky format to sort of visualize in your head. So what you're gonna wanna do is go over to the left-hand corner of the screen where it says view class schedule, and you'll click on that. And then that will adjust your schedule so that it's in this view with the different blocks in green. So when you see the blocks in green, those are classes that you're enrolled in. You may see if a class is waiting in front of it, that usually means that you're on the wait list for it. And now a big thing that I think has been a little bit confusing for some people is the classes that are online and asynchronous, which we'll talk more about later, are going to be found not in your schedule, but below your schedule in a box that sort of looks like this one we pictured here. And the reason that they're not directly in your schedule is because they don't meet at a predetermined time the same way that the other courses do. And so every class that's either in person or blended or synchronous and online should appear in your weekly schedule. But if you're ever not seeing a course there, then you might want to check below. And also on this, when you pull up the current week, it's going to look a little bit wonky since we start classes on a Wednesday. So you'll probably want to move forward, jump ahead a week, just so you can see what a full week actually looks like, because otherwise it won't be completely representative. So that should be good. Yeah. Okay, so let me jump here. So some of you might have seen our flow chart, and some of you might not have, but that's okay. You'll all be seeing plenty of this. Basically, what we're going to do, which we haven't yet, is divide you into A block and B block. And it's just sort of a way that we're able to keep our classes balanced and such with when people go on co-op. The sequences for each block are pretty similar course-wise, but basically the big difference is that A block, you'll be co-oping in the summer and fall, and B block, you'll be co-oping in spring and summer. So nothing to worry about yet, it's just sort of something to kind of keep in the back of your mind. Like on this A block flowchart, you'll see that in fall of the third year, there are no actual courses listed because you'll be on co-op, and same with fall of your fourth year. And so there's also a B block flowchart and other things to kind of just note about the flowchart, which is on the website. It'll be in the PowerPoint. We'll give it to you. It'll be on the My Courses. Is basically anything in green is a liberal arts requirement. And so you'll see the perspectives, artistic, ethical, global, social, which as you can see, you can kind of take those in any order. The Gen Ed elective is just one additional perspective course. And then first year writing, and then the immersion, which Andrea talked about earlier. And so everything in white is all the math courses that you will take, and everything in blue is all the mechanical ones, and then we have that sort of teal color is the science-based courses, and it looks like free electives and stuff are in white as well. So just something to familiarize yourself with. As you might notice, there's some linear paths between some of the different courses, and so if you just look at those, you can see what the prerequisites are, and so that's why we're very intentional in the way that we schedule things, because we don't want you to get off track with the prerequisites, because it is a very prescriptive program at the beginning. So moving forward, did I miss anything about that? Let's see.
Got it.
So something that you will also receive at some point, not yet, is your 5-year plan. Basically, we're each going to meet with you during the semester, probably about 5 or 6 weeks, maybe a little more, into the semester, at which point we'll present you with your 5-year plan, which will first show you whether you're A block or B block. And secondly, it will lay out all the classes that you have complete and all of the classes that you need to complete. And it will sort of show kind of a track structure for how we intend for you to get the classes complete. And it is something that has somewhat, some customizability in terms of minors and things, but there is a pretty rigid sequence in terms of the straight up mechanical engineering classes. So you might be kind of wondering what's the difference between the AAR and this. The AAR checks off whether things are done or not, but this shows when we recommend that you take these classes. In fact, I should say it's more than recommend, it's when we want you to take these classes. And so before you make any major changes to this, you always want to talk to us first, especially if you're moving mechanical engineering classes. And I call this one more of kind of an internal document. We can, try things out. We can mess with it and try different sort of hypothetical plans, whereas the AAR is what we use to certify you for graduation. So that's sort of like the final copy of this. So let's see. So we talked a little bit about searching for, say, an ethical perspective, which Andrea demonstrated. But this year, you guys get to add something new into the mix that we haven't done in the past, Because now, in addition to searching, by ethical, by artistic, by whatever, you may also want to search by class format. And so you're going to find that a lot of our classes are offered in a blended format, so where they're online and in person. And now a flex option, which some of you may have heard about, is when, let me see if I get this right, when the class is intended to be done blended in person and online, but the professor has gone in and said that if people, for whatever reason, need to take it remotely, completely, either for part of the semester or for the full semester, this professor is willing to put all of the materials online and have a student do it that way. So think of it like Flex just allows you sort of maximum flexibility in terms of the format. But it's a good option if you're thinking, you still would like to have an on-campus component, but then if you were to get sick or if something were to happen, then you could go all online and it wouldn't be a problem because they'd have materials ready and they'd have a process in place for that. So, and then that brings me to the modes of instruction. So in person, I think you guys can all figure that one out, is in person. Blended is a mix of in-person and online. And this can look a few different ways. You may see on some classes, and we'll show you soon where you can see it, but some might say blended AB, which is sort of a schedule where A group comes in person one day and B group comes in person the other day, and you're online for the opposite day. Or there could be just, blended. It could be that it meets, once a week online and all the rest of the time is in person or whatever. So usually the courses will say, and we'll kind of go over that in a little bit more detail later. And then the only other category is online, which for those of you who don't know, so asynchronous is when there's not a designated class time. It's when, the lectures might be pre-recorded. You could watch them on your own and you don't need to be logged in all at the same time and video chatting at the same time. Versus synchronous, which you'll see that your math class is probably synchronous. Your YOPS 10 class, which is your freshman seminar, is probably synchronous. And that means that, say, at 10 a.m., everybody needs to be on Zoom and the professor will be giving the lecture live, which will allow you to ask questions live and stuff like that. So those are sort of the key differences. Let me see. And so kind of to dig a little deeper with this, when you click on class details, which we'll show you how to do in SIS. So if you click class details, kind of like below the class, it'll say, if it says blended learning, that's how you know that it's blended. And so as I said, it's a combination of in-person and online. Or the other thing I mentioned is that it could be, let's see, blended, yeah, okay, so just blended is online and in person. So it looks like for this data warehousing course, it looks like it's in Golisano Hall, so on campus, in person on Mondays from 12:20 to 1:10. And then, let's see, so when would it be meeting? And then the rest of it is delivered online asynchronously. So the only time it's in person is going to be Mondays. And so everything else will be online at your own pace, basically. So, okay. And so, and also demonstrating the flex now, what we talked about, the flex is really based on the faculty. If the faculty are willing to let you do a course fully remote, it's normally supposed to be blended or in person, that's when you get the flex designation. Now, my understanding is that we don't really need to worry about the differences between this full flex and online flex anymore, because I've heard that it's just one flex option. Correct me if I'm wrong, Andrea and Hillary, but I think that we just have to call it flex now, so don't have to worry. It's basically just depending how long of a flex period you want, but we won't worry about that. Let's see. And then class details, let's see. So under class details, you could see here it would say instruction mode, blended AB, which is what we talked about. The professor would have to assign you to group A or group B, and that's they will probably reach out about that, I would imagine. So class details part 2. So this is where it gets a little bit confusing. Some of you might recognize that this is a schedule for MECE 102, which is Engineering Mechanics Lab. And so as you can see, it sort of demonstrates all of the times during the semester that the course will be meeting in person, as well as when it's online, but it sort of goes through week by week. So as you can see, there are several Monday meetings that are in person. So it looks like every Monday is in person. And then Thursdays and Wednesdays are also in person, but Tuesdays are online. So this would be an example of a blended class. This is one where they really do want people to be able to come to the in-person portions, and so it is not a flex option as far as I'm aware. But honestly, as long as you go to the first Monday or the first class session, they'll walk you through the format of the class in terms of when the different course meetings are. Because I know it can be a little bit tricky to look at something like this and know. So basically, for people in this class, we start classes on Wednesday. So you would go to the 8 to 9:15 class in Booth Hall with Professor Wellen, and the rest would be kind of explained from there. I think it's every other Monday that this class meets in person. Looking at the dates, but we'll have to double check. So let's see, I'm trying to think how far I go here. Okay, so again, this is Mechanics Lab, Engineering MECE 102. And we basically, when you enroll in a class, you want to make sure that the class is open, of course. But sometimes courses look open when they are actually not open. And the reason that this gets a little dicey is because some courses are reserved for special populations. So if you're ever wondering why you're trying to get into that econ class that has a little green circle and it's saying that you don't meet the requirements to get in, it could be because it's reserved, for instance, for econ majors. And so if you go under class availability, you can actually see the breakdown of how classes are reserved. And not all classes are reserved, and at this point we're hoping most of the reserves are lifted. But basically, where it says requirement group, you can see that up until August 7th, because it's the second date, up to 2 seats are reserved for business students. So if as of August 7th, there are not 2 business students in the class, then those seats open up. And same for econ majors. And then down at the bottom, you can see that incoming first years, there are a bunch of seats reserved for them as well. So just know, I mean, you don't have to know this in a ton of detail, but basically just if you can't get into a class, it could appear open but not really be open. And so my advice in that situation is to try to find a section that is open. And if you can't, that's a time at which you might want to talk to us about whether it's worth getting on the wait list, because sometimes it is and sometimes it's not. And it depends a lot on how the course is structured and how many people are on the wait list, which you should also be able to see on this screen. So let's see. And on the enrollment information side, you can see prerequisites. So as you'll see with MECE 102, there are certain math requirements for a lot of the mechanical courses. So in this case, I believe, I can't quite see over here, but I think, so prerequisites are courses that have to be done before. And then co-requisites are courses that at least need to be done at the same time. So in the case of MECE 102, that's Math 181A or Math 172. Yeah. So if you, I can't remember if we changed it so the Math 171 is included in that, maybe not. But regardless, so if you're not in MECE 102, that is okay. It's probably related to your math level, but it might not be because it's also related to space. And so you will probably be in it in the spring if you're not in it in the fall. So let's see, I can't.
Students in 171 should be in math, should be in MECE 102.
That's what I thought.
So
that's
Yep.
They did. Okay. Yep. And so then should I do my doing swaps? Let's see.
I think this is me now.
Okay. Yep.
So somebody else wants to just keep checking the chat.
Okay. I'll check.
All right. Okay. So some of the things in the chat though that have been popping up are there's some concerns in my courses about what it looks like in SIS and how it looks in my courses. So we'll try to touch on that when we pull up the my courses. And also SIS is crashing. For those of you who are in SIS right now, don't worry about trying to make all these changes immediately. You still have holds on your account until tomorrow that's going to prevent you from making any changes today. So I'm glad that you're going in there and playing around with it, and that's one of the things that we want you to do. And you feel free to play along with us in the presentation, but don't miss something that we're covering because you're playing around in that. So.
Yeah. And one more quick comment about my courses, just a general point of knowledge.
Sure.
When you make a change in SIS, that change is not going to be reflected in my courses until at least 24 hours later. So if you go into my courses right after you switch to class, it's still going to have the old class there until at least a day has gone by. So don't worry if that's the case. You could just email the professor and say, hey, I don't have access to my courses yet.
Thank you. Okay, so some of you are in classes you're not necessarily into, and we showed you where you can go to see what that class is counting as. So for example, like a women and gender studies class, if that's not your cup of tea, it is meeting like a social perspective though. And we already covered where to see that, but this is what you do about it if you want to make any schedule changes. So there are two ways to go about doing it, and the one that we really recommend is swapping. So when you swap a course, what you're doing is you're saying, I have this class, this women and gender class, I'm not interested in it, but it is meeting my social perspective or whatever. So you can select that course and then find another social perspective, like beginning ASL, and set it up to swap. So if a seat shows up in that ASL class, or if it's open, you can automatically go from one class to another. And if that ASL class has a wait list, what you can do is go from that women and gender studies class to the wait list of the ASL class. And then if a seat gets open up, you're put in it. So why is swap better than just adding and dropping is, as we covered earlier, those reservations, they can be really tricky. And it's not always clear when a class has a reservation put on it. So a swap guarantees your seat in the old class, so you know you're meeting degree requirements, but you're able to swap into another class if a seat is available for you. So it protects your schedule. So worst case scenario, you're stuck in the women and gender study class, but at least you're meeting degree requirements, you're remaining full time, and you don't have any issue with your schedule in the long run. You're just not taking a class that you are in love with, but you might find that you really enjoy also. So we do have specific instructions for swap in our My Courses shell. And instead of orientation folders this year, what we've done is we've put in all the information that you're going to need in the shell so you can easily access it. And if there's more important documents that we need for you moving on, we will just include them in the My Courses shell for you. Okay, so there is a C- or better policy that we want to introduce to you guys. So this will really impact like your math sequencing. So any of the calc sequence, so math 181A, 181, multivariable, you need a C- or better to move in the next course in the sequence. The reason why is because we really need you to have a firm understanding of the content at hand before moving on into the next level, because everything builds. Pretty understandable. We don't usually have this on our classes, but a C- is required in the following classes to move on into physics. So we'd be outreaching to you if you are not meeting that C- designation in statics, dynamics, or MECE 102, which most of you are in this fall. So that's really important. And the reason why it's only in those classes is because we actually need it for you to get into physics 2 that way. So if you are in jeopardy of getting like a D or failing any of these 3 classes, so mechanics, lab, statics, or dynamics, we really want to be in contact with you sooner than later. So please reach out to us. We can direct you to the resources to hopefully do much better than a C-. Okay, so all these schedule changes that you're going to want to do, you actually have quite a bit of time to do it, so don't panic. Beginning tomorrow around like in the afternoon, you'll be able to go in and start the freshman hold will come off, and you'll be able to start making changes to your schedule. You have a full week and a day to do this. So the last day to get your schedule changes made is Wednesday, August 26th. So you have the full first week of class. That week happens at the beginning of every semester, and that's called add drop week. So that gives you free reign to make changes to your schedule. So I say free reign, but I want you to be really cautious of your mechanical engineering classes. As you can tell, they have a complicated meeting pattern, right? So MECE 102, you have different meeting times, MECE 104 as well. So please be cautious with those classes. Talk to your advisor before wanting to switch any of your mechanical classes. Math is a little bit easier. If you want to drop down a level in math, right? So if you are starting in Calc 2 right now and you're like, I don't know about that, we encourage you to go to the first class, see the content, talk to the instructor, go over the syllabus, really give it some thought. But if you're like, this is beyond me, I'm not really well prepared for this class, come talk to us and we can get you down a level in math so you can start and then really have a solid understanding. Our program is designed for everyone to come in without any transfer credit. So you're not in a bad spot if you deny any of your credit, okay? After the 26th, so beginning on Thursday the 27th, it's the withdrawal period of the calendar. So you have up until I think 11 weeks into the semester to withdraw from a class, and that will remain on your transcript that you withdrew from a class. It could also impact your full-time status. So if you're ever considering withdrawing from a class, please talk to your advisor before you actually go ahead and make that change independently. That's one of the things that we talk you through. We talk you through potential financial implications of withdrawing, if it's okay, where you're going to make up that class in the future. Like that's one of the things that we're really good at. So please use us for that so you don't get caught with any surprises later. Make sure you're checking your AP and transfer credits. We showed you where to do that again, but if some of you, like I know I was talking to a student this morning that's like, I have credit through linear, why am I only in Calc 1? It's because we don't have your transfer credit. So please make sure that you're requesting the transcript, and in the meantime, grab us a screenshot. So this is my SBCC credit. Here it is that I've completed linear algebra, and that's all we need for now to start making your math changes. It's really important that you all have a math, that you all have a year 1 class, so that looks like the YOPS on your schedule, YOPS, and that you're full-time. So that's really what we need to see from you. And then, yeah, just let us know ASAP if there's any of those transfer credits missing. All right, covered this already a little bit, but you need to check your RIT email daily. There is so much new information all the time, every day, and we know it's a ton. But that's how we're going to communicate with you. We're in a completely new environment now of virtual for the most part. So we need you to be a really active participant on this. Check your RIT mail daily. We know it gets overwhelming. So one of the things you can do to sort of combat that is set up email folders where everything from Message Center gets sent to a Message Center folder. Then you can go in once a day and look at like all the new upcoming events that will be happening, but then our emails would be in there too. Read our emails. We don't send you too many. We try to be really mindful of that because we know how much you get. So usually everything that we're sending you is really important. Your RIT email is the official communication, not your unicorn farmer 68 thing at gmail.com. So make sure you're checking your RIT and then also sign your emails. So a lot of you, and our communication is getting quicker and quicker, and that's fine, but we need to know who we're talking to, and it's not a text. So we don't see who's emailing us a lot of time. So make sure that you just get in the habit of saying like, I'm missing my AP credit. Can you help me with this? Thanks, Hillary McCormick, just so we know who we're talking to and then we can quickly go into your account.
Yes. Okay.
All right. So in our presentation earlier, Matt Marshall was kind of explaining that you guys come from the top of your class. Many of you that we find throughout the years have not had to ask for help. It's not something that you've had to do. You've excelled naturally. that may change in college. It may change a lot, especially this semester where you are a little bit more independent than you have been. We need you to make sure that you're comfortable with asking for help. It's not a sign of weakness. It is not that you are bad at something or you're stupid. It just means this is new stuff. This is hard stuff. And it's important to remember it's supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be challenging. No one is expecting you to ace everything right out the gate. So this is a lesson for you in self-advocacy. If you're struggling, we should be getting early alerts saying like, hey, Kyle is struggling with this subject. Please come see me. It is then your responsibility to go see your instructor. We're going to follow up with you and we're going to need to hear from you that you are taking steps to address it. But this is also going to be extremely important. Like if you fall off the radar and we don't know where you are, there's a pandemic going on. We want to make sure that you're physically healthy as well. So please ask for help. If you don't know where to go, start with us. Start with me and Andrea and Jen. We can direct you to the appropriate resource. Okay, so we're not going to judge you if you are failing a subject. We know that you're in a hard major. You're not the first person to be in the boat. So please just come talk to us sooner or later so we can get you directed. All right. So we're going to be meeting with all of you one-on-one in the fall and all of you again in the spring semester one-on-one. So hopefully this gives us a chance to get to know you and your goals a little bit better so we can kind of set you up for either a lighter course load or a heavier course load, or if you want to get ahead, maybe that includes some summer classes. Like we can help you with that. I already touched on the early alert system. That's going to be where you go and actually sign up for meetings with us as well. So get familiar with that. The Bates Center is running this term. They're doing online hours as well as in person. So usually this is in the main floor of Gosnell Hall. So that's the math building. You go in and there's this big lobby of students and student tutors that can help you with some of your math. The Academic Success Center is also a really good resource. So let's say you were placed in Calc 1 and you realize that you don't have a solid foundation in like trigonometry or something like that. And now it's coming up and you don't have a good base. You were sick that week in high school. You can meet with somebody to do a math assessment different than the math placement exam, right? So this will find the holes in your knowledge and then kind of create a plan for you to get caught up in that while staying in your Calc 1. Okay, so this is really helpful like for Calc 1, Calc 2, Math 171, even pre-calc. They'll go over some of the fundamental things so you can carry on with your math sequence. With like tutoring that sort of, or not tutoring, but review sessions that are tailored to you. Also, all of our faculty in the mechanical engineering department have required office hours and they want to see you. They want to get to know you. They should be posted for you. Those would be all done virtually this semester as well. And we have TAs as well. So if for whatever reason you don't feel comfortable going to the instructor about something, you can use one of the TAs and meet with them to go over what you're struggling with or any questions. You also are now well connected with your OL. Remember, they're students, so they've been through it before. We're going to ask them for little pieces of information from the student point of view as well. Okay, so I talked about Starfish and setting up meetings. I know for this first week, we're going to be doing, or I'm going to be doing walk-in hours only. We have meetings today designated for you. I believe it's 2 to 4 today, correct? Andrea, Jen? It's on my calendar. Yep.
Yeah, 2 to 4.
As well as tomorrow as well. We have designated times for you to come and to ask your schedule questions. We're not going to make the changes for you. This is your first opportunity to really go out and start making changes. What we will change is any math or MECE issues that you're seeing. We'll help with that, but the rest of it we are going to teach you and you're going to go make the changes. So today, here's the time. So 2 to 4 today, we're available again to meet with you guys one-on-one. Jen.
Sorry.
Get away from me.
You know what it is? It's whenever I try to type in the chat that it keeps accidentally clicking it. Sorry, we're good now.
Oh, that's okay. I'm like, oh, I'm done. So your advisor will have walk-in hours for you then. I will be in the office on Tuesdays this semester. As Andrea said, she's not going to be in this semester. I will be in on Tuesdays, but my meetings will either be virtual still, or we can get like a classroom and then do the social distance. But then the issue there is we kind of lose the computer that we might need. But I'd be happy to do that as well. Jen, what are you doing this fall?
Fridays. I will be in on Fridays.
Okay. And then at any point, if there is an advisor on campus during the week within KGCOE. So if you're struggling and you need to talk to somebody immediately and we're not available and you want in person, stop by the Office of Student Services and they can get you connected to an advisor who can get you connected to us.
Also, Hillary,
Yeah.
at some point, would you mind showing how students can see which course, like what a perspective counts as? So like an econ course, how they can see where it says in the class description that it's global or...
Yeah, under attributes.
Yeah, do you mind showing that? I think we had some people who were wondering about that. I don't know if I explicitly had that in there, so just at some point.
Sure. Okay. Let me get in here.
And because they'll be able to see the AAR, but since the AAR isn't up yet, I figured.
Yeah, I know AAR. So for all of you, I know AAR was, they change that every year based on your curriculum requirements, and the registrar's office hasn't finished building it for your class yet. So there are other places you can go to see the classes that you like, the classes and how like your transfer credits, your AP history, where that's counting in your AAR. And we're going to create a plan too that's a little helpful for you. So just sit tight with us on that. We'll show you where to see the transfer credits and the APs in your course history, so you can see that. All right, Jen, can you go to the next slide? I'm pulling it up. I'm in search over here too. So you briefly heard from our staff at the beginning, but we've got Christy and Brittany, and there's always going to be somebody in the MECE office. And my SIS is still spinning too. I'm trying to get it to load. Good times. But you can always just go Zoom with them too. So if you need help printing a paper, reserving a room, getting in contact with an instructor, we're not available, you can always just connect with Jill or Christy and Brittany. And a little bit about their roles. So Jill works with the grad students pretty closely. Christy does a lot of her scheduling. She works with the faculty pretty closely, sort of like how many seats we need in classes moving forward. And then Brittany does a lot of our one-on-one interactions. She schedules meetings, tours on campus. So Brittany's really the face of the office. So any additional resources we've got right here. So hopefully you guys have all been in SIS by now, but if you haven't, if this is all 100% new, you just type in rit.edu info center and that's going to take you to the RIT home screen. There's also SIS training tutorials as well that you can go and like if you want specific information for how to set up a swap, you can get in there and look through it.
To get to my courses, sorry, would you just Google RIT my courses and then, okay.
Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, my SIS isn't working right now. I don't know if it's because I'm kind of overloaded with the PowerPoint, but it's just spinning. So if Jen or Andrea, if you've had luck getting in there.
So I'm having the same issue right now.
Well,
you can tell pretty much everyone's on there, but one way you guys can tell what your courses count as is to do a course search for that. So like if you're in women and gender studies, or you're in, let's use econ because that one came up earlier and that's fresh on the top of my head. If you're in an econ course, you can go to your search and enroll and you can search Econ 101. And when you click into the course, you should be able to see what the course attributes are of that class. And so it'll tell you that, like, so econ, for example, econ 101 can be a global or a social perspective, not both, right? So it only satisfies one or the other for you, but it can satisfy either of those two. So course search is a good way to see that for now.
Okay, so let's see, we've got the final tiger count, or cat count, not tiger.
No tigers included.
I misspoke.
You discussed that.
Yeah.
And everyone, can we just hold off for a second while I switch to the captioning, please? Okay, Adam, you should be all set for captioning.
Maybe we counted wrong. Let's see.
We're not counting like the cameos by Houdini and Luna in Jen's video either, so.
Sorry, I didn't actually know you guys could see that. I thought with the screen sharing that you couldn't.
We got a question in the chat about how many social perspectives you need. You just need one. So you need one of each perspective. So you need a global, a social, an ethical, and an artistic. Artistic, by the way, I should let you guys know this now, because there's sometimes some heartbreak over this. It's not like a practiced art. So you're not going to be taking a painting course. It's going to be more like intro to film or something along those lines, or a creative writing course. They're really cool courses, but it's not going to be like a painting course.
As for the study abroad question too, Gustav, your schedule for your first year probably will not change much if you're going to study abroad. It's something to bring up when you meet with your advisor during your first year advising meeting, but chances are you probably won't study abroad until your second or third year, so it would affect things a little bit more down the line. For now, it probably wouldn't have much impact on your first semester courses.
So what we're going to want to do for study abroad is just know that's what you want to do.
Hillary's
the location. Yeah, I studied abroad in Germany. I'm all about it. I think it's a great experience. I think you all should do it. But what we're going to need is for you to hold some classes that are pretty easy to find. Now, the good thing is, as a mechanical engineering student, though, your classes are general, and you can usually, like, if we need you to jump ahead in dynamics, for example, to take strengths while you're studying abroad, that's pretty easy for us to accommodate, but we need to plan for it. We need to make sure you're meeting the appropriate prereqs. So when you go to Spain, we know that you're going to be meeting the prereqs over there, and all those classes will transfer back. And then we're going to work with Dr. Nye if we need to. There he is. To make sure all the course descriptions work as well. So we're not
one thing to mention is that the RIT Dubai campus offers mechanical engineering. So you can take anything over there that you would over here. So it's the easiest possible study abroad because it's us. It's just in Dubai, which is a pretty cool place.
Yeah. Dr. Nye and I actually had a chance to go to Dubai together last year, and they were building a new campus, which should be open next month unless they were delayed a little bit. Yeah. But so they have a beautiful new campus too. For study abroad in general, we usually recommend for mechanical engineering students the spring semester of your second year. However, the benefit to Dubai is they're always running our classes, so you can pretty much go whenever you want. I believe we also have students doing remote start in Dubai this year due to the pandemic. So there have been some neat changes. What other questions are in there? I'm still trying to get my thing to work.
We have a lot of questions about how to set up an appointment with your advisor. So for today and tomorrow, the MECE advisors are doing walk-in advising hours. So today the walk-in advising hours are from 2 to 4. You all should have gotten an email from your advisor with their walk-in advising link. So it's not a scheduled appointment. You just show up. We'll admit you from the waiting room in the order that you showed up. We're going to do our best for that. So it won't be everyone there at once, but you don't need to schedule anything. in future days, you know, we might do scheduled appointments. I know I'm not doing scheduled appointments until at least Wednesday, but I might do walk-ins most of the week. Tomorrow morning, we're also doing walk-in advising hours. I know I'm doing mine from 9:30 to 11:30 tomorrow morning, and then again 1 to 2 tomorrow. Same thing using those Zoom links that we sent out to you already. So I think we probably got like 4 or 5 students asking about appointments. So that was that.
Yeah. Actually, do you want to talk a little bit about the dual degree, just like briefly? Because we had some questions about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So dual degree program is an awesome opportunity. The only thing you need to do right now to plan for dual degree is to work really hard in your classes at keeping your grades up and to start thinking about which professors you have a great relationship with, because next year, so spring of your second year is when you'll apply to dual degree. You can't apply before then, and we don't do any changing of your schedule to get you ready for dual degree because nothing needs to change as long as you stay on track. So you'll want to have a letter of recommendation written by your faculty advisor and a faculty member from the department. So right now, all you really need to think about is just establishing those relationships. You know, what professors do you get along really well with? Who do you think would write that? And then, you know, at some point throughout the course of the year, making an effort to get to know your faculty advisor, because when you're writing a letter of recommendation, it's a whole lot easier to write one for somebody that you know versus somebody that's sort of a stranger to you. So keep that in mind. And like I said, just right now, really focus on keeping your grades up. Currently, they look for about a 3.4 GPA, I believe. But that could shift depending on the year and the cohort. All right, Jen, what other questions? There's been a lot in here.
I've just been kind of jumping in. They've asked about some of the different common perspectives in which courses. So I just sort of said, you know, a lot of the communications are social. This isn't an absolute, of course, just to give you guys kind of an idea. You always want to double check.
Yeah, communication could also be artistic, right? Depending on what it is.
Intercultural communication will be social.
Yeah, so let's see.
I'm trying to think of other classes. I think I covered a lot of the main ones.
Somebody asked about Project Lead the Way. Project Lead the Way counts as free elective credit for us. So we can't use it towards your engineering like to get you out of engineering courses, but it can count towards free elective courses. Let's see.
And in general, I would say any credit that you've taken at another school or any AP credit you've taken, you'll want to transfer in, even if you don't think that it has anything to do with your degree. So I find people who say, you know, I took a history course or something and it's not related, but all of that can still count towards some of your general education requirements, your free electives, depending. Yeah. So I think it's definitely worth sending anything you have from College Board, anything you took at another school.
Yeah.
Or Project Lead the Way from high school. That's the only one from high school, apart from APs, that will count.
Can I go back? Can I share my screen? I'm not in the student view, unfortunately. It's not letting me, it's not loading. So I think I'm having the same issues as everyone else, but I am in it from the teaching side of things.
Let me stop my share and then we can share yours instead.
Sure.
She can share over yours, actually.
Oh, she can share over it.
Right. That's fine. So going back to the questions about how the class take a course, and Jen, can you shout one out from the chat?
Sure, Econ 101.
Econ 101, okay. So I'm searching in here, and hopefully you guys can still see this. I don't see the green bar. Do you see my search?
Yes.
Okay. I always do, I'll leave it general with like just the subject. And I always choose main campus. Otherwise you just see a whole bunch of things from like Dubai and Croatia, and the term too. So our term right now is 2201, which is bizarre. But what we did is basically 2020, we took out a 0, we condensed it. It's the first semester. You'll get used to it. But it is a different way of doing it. So you're gonna hit that, you're gonna see 50 classes, yep. Okay, so what you're going to see is you're going to see like a tab that says econ with like 51 different options. What we see is this, but then let's say you wanna click on one and you can see like some of the classes are split. Some are purely like a lecture online. Like this one is just a lecture. It's just online. The day and time is to be announced because this one is an asynchronous class, right? So in here you can see the instruction mode, which we talked about earlier, and this is where you're going to want to see what that class is counting as. And we were trying to be really deliberate about the classes that we put you in, believe it or not. So you might be in like jazz and hip hop, but we look at that like this student needs an artistic, this is an artistic, let's have them do that. So if that's not your thing, at least you know that that's where we were coming from when we made your schedule. But anyway, you can see in here that this class is a global or a social. You can't double count it because you need to get like the 60 credits of general education where you can't use the same 3 credits both times. Okay, so this one also has a reservation attached to it that started back in March, and it got released for this one student on 8/7, so on the 7th. But there's also hidden reservations too, right? So you'll see this when you're setting things up as well. These are very frustrating. These are frustrating to us too. So what we always recommend is check the availability of a class. So this section here actually looks great. So if some of you are like looking at this and like, this is what I want, there are 9 available seats. Nobody's on the wait list. You should be able to get into this class. Oh, I lost it. So hopefully that helps a little bit in terms of where you're finding it. Tiger Center is a really good search tool. You can't enroll directly from Tiger Center anymore. You only can use SIS for enrollment. SIS also gives you a whole bunch of prompts. Like if you selected that econ class, it'd be like select econ class, and you can go yes. Are you sure you want to select the econ class? Yes. Are you positive you want to confirm your choice on this being your econ class? So yes. So you're just going to have to kind of yes, yes, yes all the way through it. Any other questions that I can show in the search for now that are popping up in the chat?
Let's see, people ask if they can take classes kind of just for fun. I said you have free electives. Someone was looking at dance. Let's see. Wellness, I guess. I don't know if that's worth showing because
yeah, I can show that because that's a different way of searching too.
For something like dance, if you don't have space to maybe take, a 3-credit dance class, we have a whole bunch of wellness courses that you're required to take 2 by the time you graduate. And so there's 0 credits. So that's always something you can pop in.
Yep. So if you're looking for a specific attribute, so like I showed you econ because that was the subject that was brought up to me, but let's say you were looking for a wellness class, or I am looking for a social perspective or something like that. If you use the attributes, and I believe you can search that way in the student function too, you would go, well, let's show with activity course. And then the values are already built in for the student view. So you go activity, and again, always main campus, so you don't fall in love with something that you can't get.
Those are pass fail.
Search. And we should probably hear from our OLs too, and then get into my courses things, if we're ready to move on. But anyway, you can see all the different wellnesses in here. If you need more information, like you have no idea what yard games is, you click on it and you get like a course description. So some of the classes might be a little bit more expensive. They might not, but then you can see like, here's where you learn how to be a master at Can Jam, Cornhill, and the Washers game. So lots of choices there, but you could also search with like the perspectives too. So if you need an ethical perspective, that's what we're telling you is the last thing you need. You can use the search to look up all the ethicals.
Hillary, can you also talk about, or I can, either way, the difference between how pass and fail classes work, pass fail instead of letter grade?
Yeah, so we don't really have like a pass fail for the wellness, you mean? Okay.
And for maybe for RIT 365 as well, just because that's also pass-fail.
Okay, so pass-fail courses, like for example, if you failed a wellness, you're going to have to retake a wellness. It doesn't impact your GPA, but it does stay on your transcript. And the reason why you'd have to retake a wellness is because you need to for graduation requirements. You don't need to like they're not impacting your grade, but you don't want to fail them.
And two different ones. You can't take two of the same and get
True. So you could do Vinyasa yoga and then sunrise yoga, 2 different yogas. But you don't want those things hanging on your transcript. So if you failed year 1, how does that look on your transcript down the road when you have an F in your intro to RIT course, basically? So put in the effort. You're creating an academic story here. You don't want to show that you've blown off your first year class or that you blew off badminton. Like, just show up, or if you're really struggling, come talk to us and we can figure out a way to maybe help you dig yourself out of that hole before you get an F.
Yeah, and sort of on another note, so someone brought up the question, they said, my schedule looks really different in Tiger Center versus e-services versus my courses. And do you want to speak to that, or do you want me to?
Sure. So you're looking at it from a couple different views. I don't know how it looks in e-services. It might be just showing you overall credits and where things are. Now remember, this is an odd semester where some of your classes, even if they're online, if they're synchronous, they're going to be showing. There might be some time blocks missing. So like your math, for example, there might not be anything on Monday. It might say online on Wednesday, and on Friday it might say in person. So there's a lot of different changes. SIS is the best place to go to see your schedule in real time. My courses is reactive, right? So if you change your schedule, it's going to show up 24 hours later in my courses. And e-services is, while it shows your schedule, it's a billing system. So it's not going to show you necessarily in the best way. Is that helpful, hopefully?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not looking at the chat right now. I'm just fielding questions. So if there's another one.
Swap classes slow for anyone else. I don't know that you can swap classes yet. Can you? I don't think so.
You have holds on your account still.
Yeah.
So nobody will be able to make any schedule changes. So get comfortable, play around, learn the system, but you're not going to be able to make changes. We're not going to be making changes for you either, unless it's like a dire schedule change needed.
But you should be able to search for classes.
Yes.
Someone is saying that he can't search, but that you should be able to do.
SIS search is down right now, I think, for most people I've seen. So I think right now it's an SIS issue that's happening. So that should be back up and running. Try it again in like half an hour. But I'm seeing in the KGCOE Slack that that's also happening.
Okay.
Not a rush. And actually, we've got a question. We can't change our first term schedules, in other words. So you can't yet, but you can starting tomorrow.
Yep.
Tomorrow afternoon.
For now, you should be able to search and look at your options, but the only issue is that the server seems to be overloaded at this particular moment. So let's see. So after the hold is over, we can swap. Yes, correct, Angel. Is there an easy way to transfer my schedule from SIS to Google Calendar?
No, I don't think so.
Not that I'm aware of, but if someone does find one, we're open.
My courses does have a calendar function in there. And should we go ahead and hear from our OLs and then go right to my courses?
I would agree with, I think that's a good idea. I think we have quite a few OLs in on this call right now. And I think it'd be good to maybe turn it over to them, let them give some advice, pieces of wisdom, anything they kind of want to share. So OLs, it's really hard for us to see who's here because we've got like 10 pages of attendees. Can you guys quickly introduce yourselves to the group?
OLs.
Hello, I'm one of them. My name is Mark Barron. I'm a second-year mechanical engineer. I know a couple of you already because you're in my orientation group. I don't know. What else do you want me to say?
Give
So
them
Mark,
some,
maybe, oh, go ahead, Hillary.
I'm just gonna say general advice.
I've only been a Mechie for 1 semester. I came in exploration. My advice for you would be don't take Mechie 102 and 104 at the same time. That's my biggest piece of advice.
Why?
Painful last semester.
So Mark, that's not so much of an option we can provide.
Oh.
Yeah, don't worry.
So more about advice like asking for help, things like that. Your experience, going in to get help during office hours or tips for being a college student here. Unfortunately, with the number of students we have, some of you're going to have to take Mechie 102 and 104 at the same time. But half of our students have done that for, the whole time I've been here, and we can help you if you're struggling, but it should be okay.
It's definitely possible. If I did it, any of you guys can, trust me. Yeah. If you need help, go to your professor's office hours. They're all willing to talk to you all the time. None of them are scary. They're all really friendly. They're all really nice, and they'll be willing to help you with any smaller problems, any big problems you have. They won't give you the answers, though. You have to be willing to go there and learn and walk through the problems with them. You can't just go and expect an answer. You need to go and expect help, not a solution. That's my biggest piece of advice, I think.
Okay, I'll go next. My name's Gina. I'm a second-year mechanical engineer. And my piece of advice is don't be afraid to send your professors emails if you're having personal issues or if you have a huge course load. I remember one of my group mates last year, he had like 5 group assignments all due in like the same week. So he emailed some of the professors, and he was also going through personal problems. So he emailed the professor saying, I have this big workload. I'm also having personal issues. Can you help me out with any kind of extensions? Or if you can just give me a little extra help. And some of the professors gave him like an extra week to do the projects. Some of them did just want him to come in and just like talk to make sure he's okay, because your well-being is like the most important thing around here. So don't be afraid to email your professors.
Speaking of emailing your professors, just to jump in, we've had some questions about their email addresses. So I was thinking if you go to your Starfish network, you can actually see your professor's email addresses on there. Is that correct, I think?
I can go. Hi, everybody. I'm Mike Anderson. I'm a second-year mechanical student as well. Some of the advice I would say is definitely talk to the people in your classes and build a good network, because working together, if you're in 104 and doing some physics, it can be a little challenging, but if you're all working together, it makes the whole process a lot easier. And along with that, even if you need to go and talk to professors, everybody's not going to be like rude about it. They're all here to help you. And that's one of the best things you can do. I was struggling a little bit in a couple classes last semester, and I just emailed my teachers and they offered help immediately. So there's nothing better that you can do than to just go and say, hey, I need some help, because everybody's going to be willing to help you.
All right, cool. I will go then. My name is Rory O'Connor. I'm a second-year mechanical engineer, which is the trend right now, I suppose. And my biggest piece of advice would be don't get deterred by the workload. There's going to be a lot of busy work, a lot of just sitting down and just having to do math problems and get through a group assignment, and a lot of making sure you pull your own weight in assignments and whatnot. But it's all there for a reason. It's all there so that you can grow as a learner, and you wouldn't have made it into this program if somebody didn't believe that you were capable of doing it. Also, professors are great. I haven't had a Mechie professor yet that isn't like top 10 I've had so far. So
That's awesome.
Get to know them.
Thank you, Rory.
Can I chime in just really, really quick, because a couple of you have said something that I think is so important, and I really want to emphasize that with the students, and that is asking for help. So one of the biggest changes between being in high school and being in college is you really, really need to work on advocating for yourself. So if you're having a hard time, if you're struggling, please, please, please either go see your faculty, come see us as your advisors. We are always here to help you. Go see Dr. Robinson if you need help. Come see us. Ask your OLs, ask your peers, but ask for help. That is the single most valuable, I'd say, attribute of a student at RIT is the ability to advocate and ask for help, because the student that speaks up for themselves is a student that's really going to thrive. And it can be uncomfortable and it can be awkward, but the reality is every one of us has fallen flat on our faces before, and we get it. We can relate. We totally understand. So just ask for help, please. All right, back to the OLs.
Just to kind of echo that, the other thing is you don't want to wait too long to ask for help, just because things kind of build on each other in engineering. And so, for instance, if you get behind 1 week in math, it becomes really difficult to catch up if you don't, go for help that week, and it becomes bigger. So the sooner the better, absolutely.
It's a hard major, and you guys are going to be doing a ton of work, but know that going into it. So really have the mindset that this is your full-time job. So you're going to be working like 50 hours a week doing this stuff on this kind of schedule that you get to create. So it's a lot of freedom, but keep that number in the back of your head that you're working 8 or 9 hours a day on this stuff. And there's going to be days that you do less because you got to do laundry and you're going to do something with your friends. But that means on other days you're going to be doing more. So that's going to be a huge adjustment, and keep that number in your head. 40 to 50 hours a week is going to be the workload expected of you. You're going to be busy. But if you know that going into it, just always have that mental check. Like, am I working that 40 to 50 hours a week? You're going to be staying on top of your work.
We have a question about my courses in the chat, and actually Jake provided a picture. I don't know if I can share it with you guys, but a lot of classes are showing up in 2 different blocks. I think some math classes. And what I think is that the first block, where it says Calc 1, 8 to 10, is the actual class. And then the next block, 10 to 12, is office hours. So that might be when the professor has their office hours, it looks like.
Hey, Gina, you're my advisee. Do you want to talk a little bit about the advisor-advisee relationship?
Sure. So yeah, Hillary is my advisor and I love her. She's great. But yeah, so it's very quick and easy to go into Starfish and schedule an appointment. You get a message back saying like, hey, you have this scheduled, and it's good. And then we actually did a Zoom call the other day, and I'm assuming all the advisors are going to be like this. They're going to ask you like, what do you need? What do you want? And then you just express like how you're feeling and what your problem is. And I know Hillary was asking me just like how I'm feeling about COVID, how my family's doing, because it's not necessarily always going to be about academics and everything having to do with like all that hardcore stuff. They also want to know like how you're doing to make sure you're okay. And then when it comes to your courses, sometimes there might be a question that you don't really know to ask, that they will just straight out the bat ask you, like, are you having issues with this? Do you have a question referring to this course? Like, how are you doing in this class? I know like some students might have difficulty with that. So you might not always know you have the question, but they usually have answers or are able to assist you with any kind of questions.
Thanks. Should we go into like the My Courses stuff?
Be helpful just to kind of look at that.
All right. So I've got it up here. I don't know if you guys have picked up on this, but I'm not the most tech savvy. So I may turn this over depending on how I do. So anyway, here we go. We're back in My Courses, right? We've got all of the content here. So usually, as I said earlier, we give out folders, so we'll go through it together with you. But right now we're doing it virtually, so you always have things. So our advising syllabus kind of gives you the rundown on what to expect from us and what we expect from you with our different, our information, our faculty advisor information, what sort of our philosophy on advising at RIT is, what are your responsibilities for us. So basically it's your responsibility to schedule with us, to follow up with us, your instructors, to create your own to-do list. This is your education. We're just kind of helping you along with that. Our obligations are to remain accessible to you, to help you understand policies. We may not be able to solve the problem, but we can definitely give it to you kind of straight up, like what your options are, where you are. We're going to monitor your progress, but it's also important to know we don't know your grades until the end of the semester. We get a final grade for you, just like e-services shows. So we really are depending on you for transparency if you're struggling. So you can read through this too. So our diversity statement, any issues you have, if you got additional time in high school on exams, where you're going to go for information there. And let's go back.
So it seems like some people are saying they don't have access to the advising course. Is that something that they should have already, or?
Yeah, I think Brittany added them all. Brittany, are you?
Is she still on here?
We can make a note of anyone who doesn't have it, and maybe they can be added.
Yeah, just let me know.
Lauren Stoll, Kyle.
Could we have them actually email Brittany? That might be a little bit more effective.
Sure.
Would that
Do
be
I
okay,
put
Brittany? Would you
email?
be able to add them?
Yeah, absolutely. They should all be on there, but I can double check.
Okay, can you type your email address into the chat,
Yep.
Brittany, and then the students can maybe send you a quick email? If you don't have access to the MECE Advising My Courses, if you can send Brittany a quick email, I think she's going to type hers into the chat. She can add you.
Okay, so we talked about support. In here, we do have just like a quick link of support services and policies that you might need to see, like if you're considering a leave of absence or you're concerned about your grades. The BATE Center I mentioned, this is so the Math or Physics Tutoring Center, the Center of Res Life, Center for Women and Gender. You can go through all of this on your own. I do want to touch on counseling centers. So we do have counseling on campus. If you think you need to see somebody, we do have walk-in hours over there as well. And we do want you to just go for it. It's a service provided to you. There's no shame in going to get some additional help or talking to somebody. We're all going through like some heightened stressful times too. So they can get you connected to a counselor over there or kind of figure out what you need from there too. Disability services, again, if you had an IEP in high school that you'd like to continue with your additional accommodations, that's a good one too. The enrollment guide, financial aid. So have a look through here for whatever you might need.
If you ever don't know which, resource to go to for something, we're a good person to ask because we're pretty familiar with all of them. And, this is not a complete list of all the services that we offer. So definitely reach out if you're unsure where to go for something.
So this is where you would go to set up a swap. So this isn't obviously the system because the system is down right now, but you can walk through this. I believe with the split section, so if you are in a second section of an AB class, you're going to select that 5-digit number to set up a swap, not the main lecture. I believe that's how that works. So you would check this out here, and that's all under the Enroll tab in your student SIS. Go back. We've got all of our important dates here. And this is actually really great for you guys too. If you have access to a printer, to print it out and you can kind of start adding some of your macro assignments on here. So like the 102 exam is listed here. It's also an SIS, so you can see that. On Tuesday, September 15th, you'll have your first exam in the evening, 6:30 to 8:20, as well as 10:20. So you can start seeing in just the mechanical calendar alone, your busy weeks, right? So weeks 5 and 6 are busy in mechanical, and 10 and 11. Of course, it's going to be that you wind up with a math exam this week as well, and probably a liberal arts project. So the good thing about having a calendar like this is it shows you ahead of time when you're going to be super busy, and you can start planning accordingly. So for students that are going to have like everything due week 5, we usually say start studying a week ahead of time for classes. So that means start studying this Monday here for your Monday exam there, but you can start planning ahead, doing your work early. Since so many things are online, use that to your advantage. Get into the assignments early, turn them in so you can spread out your workload in a way that's better for you. So leverage the fact that you've got things online.
Yeah, and you'll notice that we use kind of a week by week system. Like we'll talk about things in terms of, week 5, week 6. And then that's kind of how we track them. You also might see how on the screen it says, sample 5-year plan 2201. You'll see that we have sort of a semester code that we use. And so 2201 refers to the fall semester because it's 2020, take out the 0, and then, but just so you kind of recognize that we don't really, that means the current semester. If you see 2201 in the spring is 2205, because you'll see a lot of things written that way, or you'll see forms that ask for the current term, and that's sort of the format we use. So it's okay if you forget, but just kind of as a point of information.
Can one of you pull up a sample degree checklist document, like the Excel, while I'm going through this, and then we can show them that too, because that's something very personal to them.
Yeah, I can do that.
Thank you. So anyway, go through here, check it all out. Again, there's SIS documents in here. I'm not going to pull up everything. We do have one assignment for you, of course. But this is really just to help us get to know where you're coming from. And we hope you can get to this today or get to it soon. Where is it? Watch, it's not even in here. And this is like a testament to my ability to use technology. Oh no. If not, we'll upload it again. Where is it? Why can't I edit it? I'm so embarrassed. Okay, now here they are. We've got your name, your preferred name, your strengths, how other people describe you, your biggest concern about being at RIT, and a little bit about your support system and how you cope with stress. So this is going to help us kind of figure out like a little bit about you and where we can best direct you in the immediate future. So hopefully it's easier for you to access. And I think that's everything I wanted to show you in here, but again, go through everything, click on it. Andrew, are you ready with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Here, I can share.
Share.
So each of you will get a personalized, what we call a 5-year plan in our department. You won't get this till the first, we'll work on these as advisors in the first couple weeks of classes. You'll get your copy of your plan prior to enrollment for the spring semester. Can you guys see the plan in front of you, Hillary, Jen?
Yes.
Awesome. So it's got 2 sides to it. The first side of it has every graduation requirement that you're going to need to meet before you graduate, which is awesome, right? It's pretty thorough. When you get your plan, the P that stands for pending might say D for done for some things, if you brought in like AP, transfer credit, anything like that. But it has all of these requirements in it. Every engineering course, it has everything you're going to take before you graduate, which should add up to 129 credits. And then you'll be able to have access to the second tab as well, which I know I prefer looking at. It's a lot prettier, it's a lot easier to look at, and it maps out when you're going to take what. And so we'll have mapped out semester by semester what you're going to take. And again, you'll get this after we've kind of determined your co-op block. Some of you will be A block, some of you will be B block. This is a B block plan, which would mean that this student would go on co-op spring and summer and spring and summer in their 3rd and 4th year. If they were A block, they would go on co-op summer and fall rotations as opposed to spring and summer. But again, you'll each get a copy of this. This looks a little bit more similar to like the sample 5-year plan we've posted on the My Courses shelf. Is there anything you guys want to hit on with this, or does that sound pretty good? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the 5-year plan is more of a, because we've had some questions about the differences between that and the AAR. And I think just the fact that it's more of a working document. The AAR is actually something that, it's not something that we build. It's something that's automatically generated sort of based on the courses and stuff that you have and the requirements that you're meeting. And so if there are problems with it, and we sort of have a process, like we can't just go in and adjust it. We sort of have a process for that versus the 5-year plan, which is more of a working document. So we can just open that up, or you can just open that up and we can work on it ourselves.
They should be used together. So it's never a one or the other type thing. You should be checking them against one another and using them together to get yourself towards graduation.
The benefit to the degree checklist is that shows your specific plan, and you can see what you should be taking the spring semester of your 4th year at this moment in time. Your AAR, your advising requirements, isn't going to show you that. It's just going to say like, you need this, with no guidance. So like ours, it takes into account the prereqs already. And as we go through, it might change. So it's always good to double check and to double check us, because literally Andrea will be there and like updating that document for you. Jen sits there and changes that you've completed certain classes or you've taken things out of sequence. We really want you to take our classes within sequence. We're an extremely large department, very full, and we need to know how many seats we need in different classes at given points in time. So for example, half of you are scheduled to do thermodynamics next fall, and we already know that we're going to need 130 seats in thermo for next fall. So we can't accommodate 150 students trying to take it next fall, because that throws off our numbers in the spring as well, so it cascades. So the first 3 years in mechanical especially, we were pretty spot on about these are the mechanical courses you need to take and when. However, we can play ball on the general educations, the immersions, even the math, and you can be taken sort of out of sequence depending on what your needs are for your beginning.
Okay. I think that's about what we have for time. OL, can any of you share what students should be doing for lunch real quick? No, they're still.
Mark, you're muted.
Sorry, I couldn't find the meeting. I was doing something else. I'm sorry. For lunch, we're supposed to just eat with our advising groups. I think we're supposed, or not advising groups. I'm sorry. You're supposed to eat as a college outside of Lowenthal. That's by the hockey rink. There's a big white tent, and they're giving out the box lunches there. That's all I know.
Perfect. We just had people asking about what to do for lunch. So
That's at 12, I assume.
okay. So your advisors will be holding walk-in advising hours later today. In the same email you got from us that had the link for this, there's a link for where to go for walk-in advising later. Walk-in advising, like we said, is first come, first serve. So you'll show up, you'll meet with us. If you show up and you're kept in the waiting room, that means there's people ahead of you, and that's why. But we'll kind of try to keep track of that and admit as we go along. So that is from 2 to 4 p.m. today. And then we have hours again tomorrow as well that you've all been emailed already. I will resend all that information again right now, just so you guys can have it at the top of your inbox for my advisees. But if you have any questions, feel free to show up there. If you think that we're missing credit for you, please, please, please let us know, especially if it's math related. And be prepared to have proof of grade to show us. So we'll need, like, if it's something that
Screenshots.
you don't see in SIS right now, I need you to come to our meeting prepared with screenshots showing what grade you got in the class and where it was taken. whether that's AP credit that we don't have listed yet, anything like that. So with math, this is super, super important. So we can try to get that all sorted for you.
And hang in there to everybody quarantining who can't physically join lunch. You'll be there in spirit.
It's true. I know. We'll think of all of you guys that are quarantining. It's rough, I know. But
Is anybody at the Strath Allen?
did they put people up at the Strath?
That's a really nice hotel.
If any of you are at the Strath Allen, you should eat all of the food.
You guys have balconies there too, I think.
I have balconies.
Balconies, and I think one of the best views in all of Rochester.
Yeah.
So, well, is there anything else you guys want to hit on, or should we let them go? Advisors will stay on here so we can figure out getting the attendance, but we won't be really answering questions right now.
For any transfer students that are here, Dr. Nye has a Zoom walk-in hours at 2 p.m. today.
Right, and I just, I've tried to send an email with the link earlier, but it didn't look like it went through, so I just sent it again. Hopefully you got it, but I'll be here.
All right, so if anybody has any questions, please come to our walk-in hours. Otherwise, y'all are all set. Welcome to RIT and congratulations. It's the start of a fun adventure.
When will the hold be released exactly? Sorry, not to jump in. So tomorrow afternoon, we think by like 1 o'clock.
Okay. All right. So first year students, you are free to sign off of this, and transfer students.
Welcome to RIT, guys. I know it's a weird semester, but we're happy to have you.
PowerPoint will be on the My courses, and we're going to email it out as well. So.
Yep. PowerPoint's already added to my courses.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Look
at it go, you guys.
I know, it's weird seeing everybody sign off like
There's
this.
so many people.
Oh, there's a lot of
Thanks.